Good morning. It's Friday, and we're back on Forex Focus on Tasty Live. I'm Glenn Freiberger. Pete Molmat, how we doing?
Glenn, fantastic. Great to see you, my friend. Wild week. You and I were able to navigate it well, so this has been great.
Scary week.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, it's been great. But the weekend's almost over. I know you probably got some big plans. What do you got on for the
Oh man.
Hey, hold on one second, my friend. John, I'm hearing like an echo. I don't know if you can do anything about that. But you've got a young guy like you, man about town. You got not a girlfriend, right? She's not officially a girlfriend.
I do have a girlfriend.
Oh, is she now a girlfriend?
Oh yeah, this is a recorded line. Let's not get anyone in trouble here.
Okay.
I've had a girlfriend, and I still do.
No. I didn't know it was the exclusive. You had gone to that thing. I go through this drama with my daughter every 3 months.
I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I've really been only thinking one day at a time. Nothing big. Oh, I have to do my taxes. Are people still doing those? I saw IRS audits are down. Oh, but I should get money back.
Don't do it.
All right.
Yeah, no. You've got 4 days to do it.
I think I get money back, so I think I want to do them.
You should probably get money back, I would think. Yeah.
It's not like I made a bunch of money in my extracurriculars. Those are
right. Both Fed and state, you should probably get money back.
All right.
So, and I think you can file. I think you can file that easy form, which is like 2 pages.
Okay.
So
does that take into account my crypto hedge fund? What do I do with that? My investors.
But you've been paying the miners in cash. So
this is true. Yes. Okay.
Again,
all under the table.
Glenn and I have partnered in a company mining crypto where we have miners underground. So for your sake, so
and the carbon offset.
Are we just paying
with the farm?
Are we just paying them in food, like in food? Yeah,
exactly.
Both of them deductible. Yeah, I don't know. Now, will you like go use like a TurboTax or something, or will you just do the paper form and mail it in?
I think I'll do TurboTax. Last I spoke with my mother, she said we could download it on multiple machines, so she'll just give me she'll let me do it through her account.
Okay.
I'll give it a go.
All right. Be careful with that one though, because it's nice because it'll automatically pull in your W-2.
Right.
Populate it, and it'll run some checks over it, but every fourth click is an upsell. You want TurboTax, Elite, TurboTax Pro. No, I don't want to talk to some guy in a call center about my taxes. They're 2 pages. So just
okay. Thanks.
Keep clicking no and make it as simple as possible. Hopefully you'll get out for under $75.
Nice. I can take that.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
This should be a pretty straightforward one. Mine were done.
Your trade, but your weekend. I know you're home today, so you can have all 18 monitors in your trading layer. What do you got this weekend? Markets are closed.
Yeah, it's weird. It's funny because I wake up at the same time, like 3 a.m. on Saturdays.
Insane.
And it's almost like Pavlov's dog. I do go to the screen to look, and it's like, oh yeah, there's nothing going on. So what movie am I going to watch for 2 hours to make sure I'm quiet and don't wake the dogs or my wife? Because that is that goal during that window.
That's awesome.
I do we're at tastyfx going through company-wide evaluations, so I've got these feedback things. That's a good time to knock out some of these feedback things.
Fair.
But we don't have a lot planned. I ordered a new barbecue and a Weber, and I didn't realize this. Everybody had it at exactly the same price, and I had a coupon at Home Depot for like $50 off. So I'm like, well, I might as well order it there.
Nice.
The barbecue doesn't show up. A big freaking huge box shows up with assembly required. So
yeesh.
I don't know. So, because the place we usually go to, you pay a little bit more, but they deliver you a barbecue. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be, because like anything, it's not going to be hard to put together, but it's still probably going to take 3 hours because I've never done it before.
Exactly.
Where
and you'll never
if
do it
I was
again.
doing right, if I was doing 3 of them, by the third one I'd have it down to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So poor choice on my part, being penny wise and dollar foolish, because 3 hours on Saturday could be better used in so many different places than assembling a barbecue. But that's the highlight of
right.
what I'm doing. It's still cold.
Yeah, I know. Sunday I think it's supposed to warm up, but Saturday,
Yeah, not warm enough to shoot yet, skeet shoot or sporting clays. So I don't know. It's kind of that we're not quite in spring yet. It's not that great. So
needs to
work on that. Yeah, it's really boring. I just, you know what? I've got to schedule more like interesting things to do. Part of the challenge is getting back downtown. Like when I come down in the morning, it's 18 minutes to get downtown.
Yeah.
When I go home at night, it's an hour and a half. And so if I want to come downtown like normal hours, like 10 in the morning, it's going to take you an hour plus to get downtown. They're doing construction. So it's really hard to say, let's go downtown, because it's like honestly, a slog both ways. I don't live the life like you in a penthouse right in the middle of everything. So
honestly, the Metro is the biggest cheat code in the city, especially from where you're at. Things like 15 minutes.
You're absolutely, well, no, it's half an hour, but you're right. And that is poor form on my part.
It'll drop you off right next to the Lyric Opera, which is what you're going for anyway, right?
Not quite, but you're right. We should actually take the train, but yeah, don't do that.
All right. Well,
train and Uber.
We've until Friday at 4 p.m. It looks like it's going to be another barn burner.
Boy, absolutely. We got to start with Euro.
Yeah, I mean,
115, 17, or no, 115.
113.5 right now.
Right, with a high of 114.
Yeah.
What was the high there? 114.
75.
What's that? 75. Right.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. We got close, and futures were above 115 briefly.
So almost 200 pips at the high.
I mean,
of top to bottom after what we did the previous day. So
insane.
Clear
over 3% move yesterday. This candle looks, I mean, it's very large, but looks relatively normal. If you go to the hourly, you'll see exactly how much fun it was. Really no reprieve throughout yesterday at all. Overnight, I mean, a little back and forth, but if you went to sleep here, you never saw anything lower. Just a wild run from Wednesday afternoon.
Great time frame here, Glenn, because we talk about, you want to buy value. You don't want to pay the top, but when you see tape action like this, and that you're stretching it across that entire time period there from. Sorry, I'm just having a.
No, this is Wednesday.
Let me make this
Wednesday morning to where we are. Each candle's an hour.
Yeah, let me just get that a little bit better. But starting at when we breached 110, green bar. We had one little pullback towards the afternoon at the end of the day. A little bit of pulled off the table at 112. Never a lower low, always higher highs, never a lower low. And then another extension early into Asia, a little bit of pullback, relatively, but that pullback nowhere near challenge where we had gone out the previous day to
an aggressive open for Asia.
And then around 4 o'clock, another push of almost 150 pips to the upside. Now, we've come off that a little bit, and that move up there, those last 30 pips where the market got wide and you could see just chunky stuff going through, and then some selling would come, and then big chunky buying would go through. There's a sense that when you move this far, this fast, well, all I could do is sell. Who can buy an 800 pip rally. Well, you and I can. If we're trading this product on a shorter term basis, we're going to accept the market structure we have. And what this market structure is telling us is that it's giving you very few pullbacks that last a very short amount of time. Now, is this last big fat candle a blow off top? I don't know. We're off 100 pips from the highs, and it's a huge number. This is one where I think it's going to be a little bit tougher today. If we start to regain any portion of that move back up through 114 or today, is this? Go back to hourly if you could, Glenn. If we hold on to 113 and we start getting back up into that higher end towards 114, I wouldn't be surprised if we go out at the highs of the days. And you could say this run is way overdone. We know when FX gets to new ranges that they haven't seen in a while, the prices get very elastic. This is like super elastic, super volatile. But the tape action is telling you that, yes, we've had a huge run from 102 to 110. We pulled back to 108. We challenged 110, took it out. You can play the contrarian here, and if you're careful, you've been able to catch, after that run to 111, you've been able to catch some really nice pullbacks. But you should not be afraid of looking for buying opportunities here. There is, again, we accept the markets as they are, and you constructively look at the way the tape is working. There hasn't been a lot of damage done to the market right now, even at these upper end levels. It's Friday. It's going to get a little bit, probably slow down a little bit. And this may be, we'll see. This may be a session where the bulk of the move took place overnight. If you're an early bird, you caught part of it. But I still think there's going to be stuff to do on both sides of the market. If you are that, 1,200 points and 15 trading days is too much, which statistically I think we would say it sits at the 3 standard deviation, whatever. It statistically is.
But you have to factor in your time frame, especially here, because it is Friday. You're up against the weekend. Who knows what the weekend risk will be? Of course, there's always gap risk. I can't even tell you if this weekend more than others there is, but there seems to be a fair amount of uncertainty baked into every weekend as of late here. So yeah, really time frame, because it's so easy psychologically to look solely at prices, say 114 euro, that's got to pull back. Right. But when? And we've seen this. Of course,
that's a great point.
In the Australian dollar, a lot of people's perceptions just getting blown out the door. But a market like Euro, where you watch it a lot more, perhaps, and you feel like because of that you have a greater sense of command. Is will we revert off this 114 level? In the long term, it's very likely that we see prices fall once more. But over the short term, I mean, especially this Friday with such aggressive moves up, it's hard in my mind to picture a scenario where this kind of just drifts lower. I think we'd need a real shock on a Friday to get back down to 112, 111, because it has been so elastic. So what kind of is the case for a large drift downward, other than these just 50-point pullbacks at the most?
And you hit on a great point. Is 114 rich? Yes. Will we probably see a pullback? Yes, but it could be from 116.
Exactly.
So are you ready to ride that roller coaster?
And be stuck. That's capital you're tying up.
Right.
Where you're in a market with a lot of opportunities, but hard to pin. But
no.
All what you
and
want.
I think this is one where if you want to maintain a short bias longer term, use some distance. And I mean, anywhere back up here to 113.70 or 60, or you could start to layer in very small sizes for whatever your size. If you're a 5-lot trader doing 0.2 at a time, and that is going to be your long-term reversion play. Maybe you scale that up every 20 pips, letting the market come to you, building some short deltas. But I think, if you have two accounts, it's great to put that away in one of them, and in the other one, if you want to be able to trade both sides, you should, because we've had 140 point pip pullback off the highs this morning. We still haven't violated anything down to the downside. In other words, some of that action we saw in U.S. equities last couple of days, where they have these huge runs up, and then they take everything from up to actually net change down on the day.
You look at
that really challenges conviction. Here we haven't challenged conviction yet.
Yeah.
So
you talk about the stock market moves, and you have to pull up the Australian dollar. This one, especially hard to wrap your head around it personally, just because all the headlines, very China specific, hasn't really cared about the specifics behind the China back and forth with U.S. and has really been moving on U.S. equities primarily, and
perfect chart.
Also capitalizing on just U.S. uncertainty. So surprising to me that this has been Australian dollar's been so strong, and you talk about tape action looking pretty sad a lot in this Australian dollar. Here you have a similar chart to the euro, a little more volatile, a little more opportunity to trade both ways, but still higher highs and not as low lows.
That solid green candle on Wednesday putting you to a new level.
Yep.
Never giving any portion of that back.
And that's 2% right there. That's huge.
Right. And which would be, again, that's your 2.5 standard deviation move.
Right. On a normal day.
Right. And fading that, there's nothing wrong with fading that, but you have to think, okay, I'm going to fade it, and you're going to make the same decision. Where am I getting out when I'm right? Where am I getting out when I'm wrong? Because if you had faded any of those rallies over the past 3 months, you'd done very well, because they went to town going back against those run-ups. But here we have 3 days of just what we saw in euro. Little pullbacks, but each ascending little wave there to the upside. Never goes back to test the lows, those previous lows of those little intraday moves. And we have another one, a little bit of pullback, but that pullback low right there at 62 cents never challenged the previous ones, and we're off to mark that up. So until this is 3 solid days of upside tape action, sure, we would have all loved to be long sub 60. And some guys who like to play the extremes maybe caught that. When I look at tradable opportunity, here I can, for the first time, we've talked about this, I can all see far more constructive tape action, that I'm not afraid to look at buying this as well as selling it. And I can't pull buy. I don't want to pull buys off the table because I didn't pin the low.
Right.
You've got to take what the market gives you and work within that range. And you've got, again, 62 cents, 61.80 is a value level. If we get a dip down there, that's great. Even if we start to challenge these highs early in the U.S. session, you've got to be mindful that that may be, again, for a contrarian, it's always hard to do momentum plays. But for me, I still look at 62 cent Aussie as cheap Aussie over the last 6 months. That would be one where, okay, there's got to be some pain on these shorts. I might be willing to buy that and look for a little bit of an extension the way we saw 2 hours earlier in euro. Let's take a look at Canada.
Yeah, man. Now more than ever, and especially in a market like Canada or Australian dollar, just so important in my mind. I think upon entry to hold yourself accountable with stop losses and take profits, because, like me personally, I've changed my thinking intraday, and you really want to hold on to what your bias was when you entered the trade. Yeah. But these circumstances and the price levels that follow are really elastic, and the situation's always changing. But if you're stuck on headlines and you think, hey, I'm not fundamentally, nothing's changed fundamentally from my mind. It's gone against me so far. I don't see any reason to change my bias now. But the price action now can make it hurt a lot worse. And so risk management upon entry, I think, at least holds you a little more accountable in some of these markets where they'll go up 2%, and that'll be a complete reclassification. It'll trade from there, and you're just, if you are stubborn, then you're stuck holding losses,
Yeah.
but then not able to trade with that capital.
Right. And
anymore.
not being able to, and I always say this, you want to be able to trade both sides of the market. And some people are like, well, that means you don't have a conviction. You don't have a bias. Sure, you have a bias. But if markets get to levels, I don't want to be so jaded that I've been buying this dip and I can't turn around and sell it because I've invested so much being long. How can I turn myself around?
Right.
Because that would make no sense. You want to come in, you always want to have a bias, but you want to come in every day where that bias, there is a level that is interesting for you to buy and an interesting level for you to sell. And if you take one of those off the table, you're probably taking the one that has the highest probability given structure, and you're really putting yourself in a tough spot. So make sure those losses, as you said, are always manageable so you can come in not clouding your opinion by what happened in the past. Nobody likes having a losing day. It stings. It stinks. But when that bias starts infecting what you do moving forward because of the size of it, that's problematic. So always think about keeping that in context. And you're right. Every news story this weekend will be the de-dollarization of the world.
Yep. Heard that on
so
the
every
Financial Times
chucklehead
radio this morning.
every chucklehead who was talking about, I mean, we had one huge rally in the SPOOs off of a tweet that they took 2/3 out of yesterday.
Brutal.
And that one rally caused three major economic firms and the brokerages to change their forecast. We're no longer having a recession. It's like, wow, you
Redacted.
guys really don't have a lot of conviction. And now they're all becking like, oh, maybe it will be bad. We don't know. But I do know that the news cycle will all be about this, oh, the dollar's no good now. Well, we'll see. But it's certainly elastic. It's providing us a lot of opportunities for back and forth. Where do you want to end on? Unrelenting dollar yen? Or
I think it's worth bringing up because
yeah,
there's a new every time I check the platform, we're down another 100 pips or up.
Yep.
We're in a new 100 pip range. Yesterday, 2.5% move, and just compounding on that early this morning, and getting a lot of strength. Actually, you know what I want to pull up too, really quickly, is Swiss franc. Holy smokes! This one, I think it gets a less news coverage, but I mean, 81 cents. Anything under 84, I'm
right.
Like we are through. We're through. This is the weekly chart.
Yeah.
We're through any pandemic sort of nonsense. We're through all the way to 2015, the depeg to the euro, and have spent no time here since 2011. This is insane to me. I mean, this week, down over 5%. This is the standout to me, in my opinion. Dollar, Swiss franc.
It's a great call, because one of the great things is you can go through here and you can find, again, as big as that move in euro was, this is an outsized move to that.
Exactly.
So,
and pretty relentless. I mean, even more so than the euro on Thursday. I mean, this one.
This is old school Swiss, which is relentless is the perfect world. It will just pound and pound and pound. And you're absolutely right. It is relentless. So it will be an interesting day to see if we shape up here. If we go out quiet, I think there's a couple more moves left in FX here. And it may be the euro settles a little bit, and maybe Canada and Aussie and Kiwi, which again, 58-cent Kiwi is certainly higher than 55-cent Kiwi, but in terms of new range, we're nowhere near. We're technically right up to some challenging levels, but we're nowhere near getting back to where we had been. So I think this may be one where I'm going to keep an eye on Canada, Kiwi, and see if there are little pullbacks that might give me an opportunity to get some longs on. If you want, I completely respect the guy who says, I'm going to trade the range till it breaks, and it hasn't broken yet. Then you'd be fading it. But I think you're fading it with the idea that if it doesn't, for me, if that doesn't pay you in the first 3 hours of today, you're going to be trapped with everybody else who faded that high and having to make a decision over the weekend. Right. So be mindful of management. But there is so many great setups out there, and FX is giving you that opportunity to look at very different market structures across different pairs. So let's wrap it up for this week. Glenn, thank you so much.
What a week
it's been. It's been a blast doing this with you, and look forward to seeing what next week brings us. But coming up next is Tom, Tony, and Vanetta, and we'll be back with you next Monday for the early edition of Forex Focus at 6:30 a.m. See you then.
In the world of investing, a beast lurks between the numbers. Some watch from the safety of the sidelines, but others saddle up and ride that 1-ton rowdy ribeye for all he's got. If that's you, join us on Tasty Trade, named best online broker for options trading. Genius loves company.
Craig in New York City, what's up?
I just want to say, I've been with you since the very early days of Thinkorswim, and traded all kinds of markets here and there. And I got to say, I could be off so much worse if it wasn't for what you guys have sort of drilled into me over